We were born to champion the dreamers and stand with the underdogs. Because you can only succeed if you're given the opportunity to try.
Are you crying?
Yeah, no, maybe.
Before we start, I wanted to show you something. Have you ever seen this?
Yeah. Why, you related to me?
This is my family book.
That's my family book.
I was looking through this because my daughter had to do like a Great My Heather project. So I was looking through this and like my husband's like, he's like, oh, right here you are. He's like, Brenton Awa. I was like, I wonder if it's the Brenton Awa.
That's crazy.
My cousins.
You know, hey, that was one thing. We're not even rolling it, but that was one thing. When I got in, I had so much
All the cousins coming out of the
Hey, but she got proof though.
I was like, I gotta bring this
it was like
to
real
show him.
cousins.
Oh, real cousins. Okay,
Just like that.
Yeah,
It was like, oh.
but you actually saw this before?
Yeah,
This
I have
book?
that. Yeah,
Oh my
I have that book.
gosh,
You threw it out. I thought it was mine.
That's so
You should have did that on the
funny.
thing.
Were you rolling with that? Okay. No, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to bring this and see if he knew about it. And then my cousin's on the big end, so we're planning a family reunion. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna go interview Brenton Awa. Do you know he's our cousin? And everybody's like, invite him to the reunion.
It's definitely blood. It's in the red book.
Yeah, it's in the red book. It's real.
That's crazy.
So funny. Do you like when people call you senator?
Nah, I mean, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll have like a chef on, and so we'll be like calling them chef, and then they're like, you really don't have to do that.
Please don't call him chef.
Nah, yeah, it's weird. That's one weird thing too. You walk around and everybody calls you senator. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, on my mail, the mail comes, it says the honorable. I'm like, bro, all they did was win the election.
Hey guys, welcome back to Uncut, the podcast where we talk with Hawaii's changemakers, entrepreneurs, and creatives. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kolby, and today we have a very exciting guest. You're definitely on our wish list since the beginning. This is Senator Brenton Awa. He represents District 23 on Oahu, born and raised in Kaʻaʻawa, and a graduate of Kahuku High. I always want to say Kaʻaʻawa High because that's my high school, but Kahuku High. Brenton had a successful career as a TV news anchor at KITV before being elected into office in 2022. Today, he is the youngest state senator and one of only 2 Republicans in the 25-member chamber. And the people definitely love him. Thank you so much for joining us.
I feel welcome though. Not everybody loves what I do.
Oh no, everybody's like, yeah. Even like I was going through TSA today, and then they all know me. They're, who are you interviewing today? I'm like, Brenton Awa. And they're like, yeah. So cute.
No, it's so cool to have you and just hear you in person. Cause I watch all your stories and like all your updates and stuff, and it's like, oh, he's here, the senator.
The honorable.
The honorable.
You know,
we just talked about this on air.
I'm in a time period of my life where it is right. I won an election. Now we get to make changes in the community, but one day it could be different.
Mm-hmm.
They say politicians age, right? I mean, I ain't never gonna change, but what I'm doing fits with this time. Who knows what's gonna be in 10 years?
Yeah.
What would you say this time is for you then, right now?
What
This
is
era?
it?
Yeah.
I mean, day by day, changing outlook, standing up for a side of a story or perspectives that just aren't in the Capitol, that lawmakers some of them can't even comprehend. So I don't want to get so deep right away.
I know.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
We'll get back to that.
We'll rewind to the beginning. So, grew up on the island, growing up in Kaʻaʻawa.
Yep.
Is that what you say?
Kaʻaʻawa, yeah.
And so, what was it like growing up?
In the country?
In the country.
Blessed. I mean, shoot. There's no place I would rather be born, raised, and live in the world than that boundary between Punalu'u and Kahalulu. So yeah, I was blessed to be born in Kaʻaʻawa, got the country lifestyle, and I still got it. It's hard when you come over here. This is a nice building, don't get me wrong. But
all the way to town.
When you go back to the country and it's ocean, mountain, it's green, there's no skyscrapers, it's a different kind of feel.
I hear you. As soon as I'm like back on the plane, going back to Big Island, I'm like, I can breathe again. So were you, I know you were like in athletics, you wrestled, played football. Was that like a big part of your childhood?
Yeah, it was.
Sports?
Because my dad, like, all he would do is want us to work, and so we went to do sports so we can get away from work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it led to a lot of things. So, you know, again, where I was born, like, thank God, where I was born, because I went to Kahuku High School. I represent the same district where, you know, the teachers and the coaches who raised me and their foundation and their mentalities were passed to me, and now I can represent that. So it's such a blessing all the way around. When you talk about sports, if I didn't have wrestling, if I didn't have football, if I didn't have the coaches, if I didn't take that path, the decisions that I make today would be 100% different, guaranteed.
What are some takeaways like from that period of your life that you learned from like your coaches, your mentors, or like even the people in the community growing up out there?
Discipline, accountability, things that are needed in today's world. Just will, you know. In wrestling, it's arguably one of the toughest sports that you can do, and so going through it, I tell kids all the time, if you just get through it, I can't tell you exactly what you'll learn, but not only do you get physically stronger, but mentally, your brain, you know, to show up and take a beating every day and have to figure out things on your own and how to climb, it's all on you in that sport. And so if I didn't have that, maybe I wouldn't be planting trees. Maybe I wouldn't be so stubborn at, you know, accomplishing our missions.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much about sport. So much more than just like the sport, right? It's like a life lesson.
Yeah, you don't realize at the time, right? Like
It is.
going through the sport, but it's like, it really prepares you for what you have to deal with in life, like down the line.
And you're going to face, you know, I don't know what the demographic of viewers is over here, but I come from a perspective where I'm not a participation trophy person, never been. And so when you're in it, there's all of that too.
My daughter comes on with like 10th place and I'm like, first in the meet, I'm like, we're not putting that up.
Keep it real. Keep it real. I tell my daughter straight up
Yeah,
because you know that's the lesson, right?
Yep.
It's
Can't set those false expectations.
is the expectation going to be so low that when we become adults and we become leaders and we become in these places, whether you're a CEO or what, if your expectation is that low or you just always
Good
constantly
enough.
getting, it's like, what kind of world are we going to have? We're just going to have a good enough world.
Yeah.
So
Facts.
Have you had a coach like that comes to mind that really like poured into you or inspired you or like changed you in a way?
100%. Reggie Torres, he's up at athletics director at Kamehameha Schools, Kapalama right now, but he coached wrestling. He won state titles, boys, girls, judo, wrestling, and football. And that guy, I'll tell you a story. You know, if you go to Kahuku's gym, we have all our senior tiles. Every class puts up senior tiles on the front wall of the gym. Mine's on the left side of the gym. It says 152 proof. Brenton Awa. I don't want to get into like all the details, but you know, I made stupid mistakes as a kid.
You know.
And yeah, so 152 proof. That's alcohol. I came to school. We had drunk.
That's what I thought. I was like, is that
Proof only describes one thing.
152 was my weight class. 151 what was drinking. But anyway, so I was suspended. Matter of fact, my friends made that tile. I didn't even make that tile.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks to them. But what had happened is I came to school and I had totally gotten away with it. No, you know, so it was all good. But one of my friends who had been drinking, he got busted, and so I went to check on him. It was all right. Well, my coach found out. Reggie found out, and he told me, you know, the truth will set you free. You do the time, you pay the time. You do the crime, you pay the time. And I was like, I was young, right? I'm like, I got away with it. Why would I do? And I ended up having to, you know, turn myself in to the principal at the time. Got suspended for 2 weeks. But the lesson, when I look back on it, was accountability. Accountability. If I didn't have that from such a young age, I'd be making so many mistakes. And, you know, and what good is a politician, the career I'm in, if you're making promises and you can't deliver?
Yeah.
And then when somebody tries to hold you
Somebody's
accountable,
gonna find out at some point. Yep.
yeah, and when they try to hold you accountable, you don't say yes. You know, my bad. Let's figure it out. If you don't have that accountability, your thing, you're probably going to put it back on them and make them, you know, the people think that it's their problem rather than take that accountability, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a huge lesson for sure.
That's huge.
A lot of people need that.
Yeah. And the sooner you learn that, the better you off you are later on in life.
So
Yeah.
So Reggie was Coach Reggie, man. Another blessing. He touched so many lives, thousands of kids.
Really?
So there's thousands of stories just like that.
Oh, I love that.
And he's still coaching at
Athletics
Nice.
director.
Oh,
AD.
director.
Yeah. I always like want to just get into the head of those amazing coaches, you know? Because somebody asked me recently too, like, what was it about your coach, my high school volleyball coach, that like made him so special? Like, he was able to work with everybody and like meet their individual needs somehow and like inspire, but like not be scary. And I don't know. I'm like, I don't know what that secret is. It's like but then they can touch so many people.
They do.
Yeah.
They touch so many lives,
Yeah.
and it's a selfless job. You know, they don't in
For
the OIA,
sure.
public schools. You're not
No.
getting
Exactly,
paid.
yeah.
You're not getting paid much, you know, unless it's football and you're the head coach. But so yeah, to all the coaches out there, the impact. If they're watching this, the impact. You know, thank you guys.
Yes.
shout out to all the coaches for sure.
Yes. Okay, so graduated Kahuku, and then you moved on to play.
I
You
went to
wrestle.
college,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We don't play wrestling.
Yeah.
It's not playing, Kolby, come on.
But no, just joking. But no, I went to Clarion, Pennsylvania to wrestle. Yeah,
What
there was the
was
whole.
that?
How was
Like-
that? How was that culture shock for you?
Kahuku to
I mean,
Pennsylvania.
it was a lot of pizza and ice cream, a lot of pizza and ice cream, and freezing cold weather. I remember like lived about a mile away from the gym where we had to wake up 5 o'clock, go to practice, and it's snowing outside. I open my door, there's a deer standing right there.
No way.
It's like 3 feet of snow,
Yeah,
a deer, and I got to make it to practice. So, you know, that's what it was like. But that was an eye opener because, you know, again, in high school, I had coaches who taught me fundamentals, foundation, becoming who you are, and then in college at the Division I level, I had coaches who would sharpen your mind to an elite level, and so this is where like they taught me how to level up. You know, if any athlete is going to college or they don't have it yet, one of the things that you hear, you know, whether it's from musicians, fighters, whoever it may be that I hear from, is some, and they say it differently, but one famous Slack Key musician over here told me, "Fake it till you make it." He's one of 12 siblings, and he was never the greatest. This is George Kahumoku. He was never the greatest Slack Key player, but today, you know, George Kahumoku is regarded as one of the greatest.
And
well,
he
was
said, "Fake it till you make
He was
it."
faking it with his family members. He wasn't the best, but he was faking until he got it. Right, he got it.
Yeah.
And there's a fighter who said the same thing. It's like you got to trick yourself into believing you're better than you are. Because when you do that, that's when I leveled up in college, was when you believe that you're better. And I'm not saying don't be humble or anything. It's just believe in yourself. Believe what a human is capable of. And once you can break that and you believe in things, higher things, or going farther than other people ever done, then yeah.
It's like truly believing.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like you're waiting for your brain to catch up, because it's like you are better than you are, but then your brain is like not thinking that way yet. So you kind of like just got to catch up to it.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So that was
that's cool.
college.
So that was college.
Yeah. So that's great. Yeah. So fundamentals in high school, and then kind of breaking that barrier in college and like getting to that elite level of mindset.
And that was sports. I fell into the news.
Yeah.
We had a college station up there, and it was my senior year. I did some sports. I was terrible. If I can do the news, anybody can do the news.
No.
Because I was terrible.
No.
I was terrible. No, it's really just a will. You know, how much you're willing to, a will to learn, a will to, you know,
That's what
get
anything.
to. Yeah. And so when I came out, I had no real experience.
But somebody picked you to be the on-air guy.
Yeah. I mean, not too
Somebody
many
saw
Hawaiians.
something in
Not
you.
too many Hawaiians with a last name. You know.
What kind of like kept you in it? You know, like pushed you to keep learning about it and like exploring more and doing it.
After wrestling, I dabbled in MMA, and at some point your body just can't do that. So I needed something. I needed something to focus my energy in, and the news was a good place to put it. And I started transitioning my skills in all that I've learned in wrestling and all of that, and trying to apply it to news in kind of a different way. And yeah, I think it went well. But
So you got like just started into kind of on-air kind of TV stuff when you're in college.
yeah, but then when I came over here, it was the exact opposite. I mean, like females, they get in right away on TV, but for me, I had to intern for free.
Yeah, I know
for
that.
7 months. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, and then I finally get hired. Worked all the way up until KITV gave me that opportunity to be anchor. Yeah.
So you started at KGMB.
I started at
as
KGMB.
like an intern AP.
I was the last intern.
The last intern. I
Yeah.
heard you say that because I was like, when I heard you say that, I was like, oh yeah, I guess it wasn't like a structured, there was not a program. It was like somehow you get in, right? And then like you just keep showing up.
That's literally what I did. I heard the stories, like once you get in, just keep showing up. So I never stopped. Matter of fact, it was so Keahi Tucker, Glenn Tengen, and some people. Those was the last newscast. It was a 10 o'clock newscast that KGME signed
Was Kim
off.
still there? Kim Janala?
Did she do the last one? I don't want to say that she wasn't, but I don't remember if she was there. All I remember that last night was Keahi, and then we transitioned. But and then so I went through the whole
merger.
The merger and the transition.
Yeah. And I remember when they finally called me and they were like offering me the job. I didn't even know how to take it. Matter of fact, but whatever, I took it because they were like, hey, we can't have you continue to show up anymore.
We can't not pay you.
Yeah. We can't have you, but we can't not have you here. So congratulations, you're getting $12 an hour. So,
As like what the producer.
Oh, that's like below minimum wage now. Yeah.
and so that went for a bit. But it all out here. So
Even that's like good life stuff. Like just putting in the work, you know,
showing
like,
up, doing the work.
it's never been easy. If one thing that if I assess myself in the life that I've lived so far, it's always been like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's always been
nothing came
injustices. Yeah, just a bunch of injustices the whole way. I mean, till today. So yeah, nothing comes easy. You just got to work for everything.
Yeah.
Without expectations too, yeah. It's just like
That's
keep
what it is.
You
It's
kept
gotta
showing
have
up.
faith,
You didn't even
yeah.
know if you had a job offer or anything, right? It's like you just kept showing up.
I mean, what were you thinking like when you first started in the news? You're like, okay,
I probably
like,
wasn't.
just keep showing up. I mean, you had like, you know, like some great people in the newsroom at that time. I mean, like
There
Jim
was.
Mendoza.
Jim was a guy that I looked to his writing. I studied his writing.
Yes.
Because he always knew how to start. He always knew how to finish. Keahi knew how to hype a story up. We had good play on words. So yeah, I had a lot of people around that I was able to learn from. The photographers, that was my passion, was shooting actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
And I loved doing that, playing video games.
Yeah.
But you had the best photographers over there,
Yeah.
so I learned that. I learned photography. That's such a useful skill in today's day and age. So yeah, it was a blessing, you know, and that's why. Not to talk politics and stuff, but when I ended up running and where I am now, that when I look back at all of the path that I was on, I was like, wow, like some people prepare for being in a political office in different ways.
Yeah.
They become a lawyer, they go to school for that, you know, they work in a politician's office, they learn the ropes that way. But, you know, when I looked at it, I had been prepared for this role today, but it took my entire life and I didn't even know it. But it was everything, you know, that we're talking about, right? The whole journey up and all these things that I learned. Think about it, like communication is critical now. And, you know, in the news, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have built the following. If I didn't take my stand, more people would. If I didn't start standing up for these injustices, I wouldn't have gotten all of that stuff. So all of this stuff just prepared me to be in the right place at the right time. I mean, I don't know if it's right for me. I'm freaking. It's a sacrifice,
Because
but
it's like, yeah,
but you know, for what we're
It's
doing,
right for the rest of us.
But it's like like kind of like adding to what you're saying. Like you never expected to be a politician, right? You never like grew up like, oh, I want to be a politician. And
No,
you
you
just
stayed
trained
so
to it.
far away from the law.
Exactly. So
Run the other way.
Yeah.
No, the thing, and I'll bring that up. Like, that'll probably be talked about in a little bit. But in Honolulu, the mud pit, you know, that's a prime example. And I'm going to take criticism for that, probably by Kupuna and whatnot, who's saying, hey, you know, Malama land, they're just tearing it up. But right across the street, we have our food tree project. Right across the street is our food tree project. Some of the same people that were mud bogging in there was busting their humps, planting food trees with us. So you kind of got to meet people, in my opinion, where they're at, because we got so many people disconnected. They don't vote. They don't want to get involved. They feel like the government just takes from them. In this case, that's exactly what happened. A big rain came down. This is a mud bog area. Not designated. We don't have any of those. But people took advantage and they're having a good time. Sure, you know, I get why the state shut it down. But think about if we met people a little closer to where they're at. You know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know how I started getting on that, but it's
Let's rewind a little bit. Let's get on that, since like, you know, we have a different demographic here, different viewers. Like, what was that thing that you did? Like, because we kept talking about like this news anchor journey. Now you're a politician.
So it's
like, what happened, and like, you know.
Well, and we don't have to go too deep into
just like a brief, like, what happened.
Yeah, I can say what I've already said. I mean,
Yeah.
I've said it in podcasts, I've said it in interviews, and nothing new on that. But in the news, real quick, for anybody who doesn't know what happened, I was anchoring. It was my dream job. I thought I was going to do that forever.
You worked.
I was going to do that forever. And things were good. The ratings were up.
Yeah.
Things were good. But what was not good behind the scenes was my teleprompter. If you guys ever saw the movie Bruce Almighty, where they're messing with it, they weren't messing with my teleprompter. It was just, you know, for a lot of reasons, it all comes down to money. Scripts weren't done in my show, so while I'm reading the teleprompters, things are changing while I'm reading it. There's wrong information in it at least a dozen times a day. Anyway, they had consultants come in, see how they can fix the problem. I was the last person that they met with, and what the lady ended up telling me was, hey, Brenton, if you see misinformation in your teleprompter, read it with extra confidence, because 90% of people here will believe it.
That's so
crazy.
The fact that she said that too, that way, like just bluntly like that, like, dang.
Yeah, I mean, so you're telling me to lie?
Yeah.
No, we're telling you to read your prompter, and it's like, that's what I say. Like, these things that I've seen in my life, and even today, even more so in government, people talk about things that they think, and I see these things, and so it's almost a responsibility. You know, I don't like to do it. I don't like to come out, and I don't want to be the guy who gives us his job to do, and you know, have all the controversy and critics. Like, I like to live a nice, peaceful life, but
yeah.
But this is the path that I've been put on. And so when it comes back to that, what had happened, they told me that. I went to the GM. The GM told me, corporate hired these guys. You got to listen to what they say. And that was it for me. That was like, everything was broken. I mean, I don't know how, there are my colleagues in there, and nothing against them. You know, they try their best. Like I always try my best every day.
Right.
It just comes down to money and undercutting of staff, positions, how much people are being paid, the integrity of journalism. And so it came down to a 6 p.m. newscast. The last newscast, I believe, was on a Tuesday. And the first 4 stories of the newscast were all wrong. And by the fourth one, I put my head down and was like, we're moving on. That set off a firestorm in the back. And that led to me punching the door.
Dang.
Nobody was taking accountability. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Without going into the details, nobody was taking accountability for who wrote that script. But
So that means,
But anyways, that doesn't mean this was right. But it was definitely a long time built of frustration. So
For sure.
they wanted me to come back. Things fell through. Got fired. Ended up filing a lawsuit. Can't talk too much about that. But I can tell you that, you know, for the past 3 years, I've been carrying this wound that hasn't been able to heal, and there's justice coming. There's justice coming.
Nice.
Good.
It's been 3 years.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Yeah.
I mean, that, first of all, that's like wild to me that that happened. And like, I don't know, even like having worked in the news, I'm like, how can you?
And like you said, at the end of the day, it just comes down to money.
It comes down to money. When you have, you know, producers used to be able to make, well, what did they make when you left?
Well, I worked there when it was like right out of college, and it was like 2006, and it was like $40,000.
Okay, so that's exactly what they were making when I left.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, so
Holy
2006,
smokes.
2020.
No.
Yep.
And I was like a junior producer.
Producers are $40,000 standard contract, $44,000 standard reporter contract coming in. You had the high. Before you had anchors making 145, 165, higher than that.
Yeah.
When I left, I was the highest at 90.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And that was 3 years ago?
When was this? Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's
2020 was when he entered too, yeah.
So think about, if that's what the anchor's making, the cuts under that.
Totally.
You know, and so that
Can't
is what
imagine,
leads. It's not the individual's fault.
Yeah.
It's
The
it's
system.
100% fault of the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But it also takes like that integrity and like that accountability for
Going back to the integrity and the accountability,
just like it didn't sit well with you, right? And like, you know,
Not
like
that.
you said, you had a good job. It's like, yeah, you wanted to do it your whole life, but it's like, no, like this is not right, and you stepped away from it. So
I mean, that I feel like that was a big, bold move, but that spoke volumes to like the kind of person you are. And I hope it would inspire other people to stand up for doing the right thing too.
That was the philosophy, was like,
Yeah.
it set off that path. And so when I went into the campaign, hey, like I said, I got busted in high school. I got suspended for that. I made my mistakes. I made mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, but when it comes to injustices, we made sure that we were going to run a campaign and we were going to run our office where that would never happen. And so, but that's kind of the things that sparked it. Was these kind of things are wrong. We got to do things right.
Yeah.
And so that's why every step of the way we try to do things right.
I love that. And that's a change maker right there. Like making the bold moves and like based off of your values, like
yeah, just cross your fingers that more people will be like, hey, he can do it. I can do it too. And we've seen that. We've seen people like that just try to, jump right into it. And that's good. It's good to see.
You just got to take that step and then figure it out, right? Because then you did it and then look at where you are now. Yeah. And
that
seems
seems like so much. That seems like so long ago. Like I didn't realize it was only 3 years ago because between then and now, like so much has happened in your life.
Yeah.
Because after you left the news, you continued to do like these like stories, like community stories about like what's going on in your community, unpaid.
Yeah, those
right?
are the most impactful.
Yeah.
Out of all the news, and I did some good news stories, but out of all the stories that I did when I was in TV news, getting paid, every single one that I did after I got out was more impactful than any of the ones that I ever did.
I love that.
And that's where everybody, like, I feel like everybody started talking about you. I mean, I knew who you were before, but then, like, after that, when you left the news and started doing these stories on your own, that's when I feel like you built even more of a following than you had during.
It did.
Yeah.
It really went up. And that's, that was part of the blessing because if I didn't have that, and it doesn't translate to votes, by the way. You don't, because you have a big following, get in. We had somebody in our party who had 250,000 followers and didn't get in. And that was for a house race. But the following, that's really what, like, people see me, right? And they're like, oh, they hear my name and they think whatever they're going to think in the Capitol, wherever it may be. But it's not me that they so much feel any type. It's because of all of the people, right? So, like the other day for the mud bog, we made a call. Hey, if you guys want to be on this KHON story, come down to the mud pit. So a lot of people showed up. I just wanted like 3 people to come. A lot of people showed
the whole
up.
town came out.
So yeah, I mean, I got to watch where I'm pushing people or what I'm telling people for sure. So I mean, it's good that I have that news background and how to try to give information right down the middle.
Yeah.
So people can make their own decisions. But yeah, that government not scared of me. Government is scared of the people.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the big thing that you're addressing with that whole thing is like misinformation, right? And like with social media, the news, like after COVID, people are starting to realize all that. And so I think it's really cool that like on your own channels and platforms, like you're breaking down this like misinformation and whatnot, and just clearing things up. And like you said, just putting the information out there, people can feel how they feel. And it's like, I think that's the tough part of politics, where it's like, there's never like one side, it's like,
there's not.
You cannot please everyone.
No, we, like I told in one speech, we get in well-liked, we come out, unliked.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like what we had Augie T on, and he was saying how like people that he work with like aren't like super happy with him sometimes because like he has a following, and so like what he says and like people react and people like get behind him, and some people don't like that. Like,
yeah.
Did you experience that too?
Yeah, with the House bill, right? The foreigners one where they can't buy land or a home here in
Hawaii.
Hawaii. And then,
the home bill, yeah.
And then you posted like, like this is the process. And I think a lot of people don't understand the process is the big thing. So I'm starting to like, on the Oahu Wedding Association side, like trying to like tap into like the process and everything. It's a complicated process and people don't realize that, right? Yeah. So it's like when you posted that, I think it kind of sparked a lot of things and like people were like, okay. I can get involved.
You know what it sparked?
Yeah.
I didn't even know this was coming. I'm over there thinking just like you.
Yeah.
Like, and the other side's going to see this, so hopefully they can get an understanding too, because they didn't understand what I was trying to explain to them.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get people involved in the process.
Yeah.
And because I did that video, I ended up getting called to a meeting with that House lawmaker. Ended up having the Senate president and the House speaker in that meeting.
Oh.
The House speaker tried to put me on notice. He can't do that. He's in the House. Like,
Yeah.
It's funny. But they tried to tell me that I was inciting violence. Yeah. The one House lawmaker was, I don't want to speak for her, but she had some kind of fear. I asked her, hey, did anybody come to your house? No.
Yeah.
Are you hurt? No. So what are we doing here talking about this?
Yeah.
But and then that's one thing when you say, not even in government, there's one story. There's all kind of sides, right? There's made up sides. There's sides because of perception. Because I'm trying to show people, here's the process. If you want this thing, here's what you got to do.
Yeah,
Call
you're
this
just
lady.
stating facts.
Call this lady. Yeah, exactly. They took it and interpreted it as, oh, he's trying to
get people emotional, worked up.
Yeah, to go in and do something drastic. And it's like,
did anybody
you guys
do
never seen a
anything
fight
bad?
before. But you'll celebrate Max Holloway when he wins, which we should all do. But hey,
Right.
that's how far on one side of the spectrum some people are. They just can't even see the other side. And then when the other side's story or perception comes up, it's vilified or made to look like like we're bad people. So it's just we're different.
Yeah. Well, we'll go back to the actual, so going back to when you're making your videos, and then at what point did you realize okay, maybe the next step would be to get into politics?
People ask.
Run for office. People were asking.
I was going around and I was doing these things and people were like, why don't you just run? You got the name recognition. Why don't you just do it? And a lot of people did. And because at first I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like I said, we stay as far away from the law as possible. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
And people kept asking. And then one day it just hit me. I was just thinking about, like I said, all of the things that I had learned, all the skills, all the weapons that, weapons, armor, whatever you want to, I got to say armor too. And by this, they really...
Just people are going to cut this clip and be look, violence.
It's all about violence.
But when I looked at all of what I had and all of what I was given, I had nothing. When I lost my job, that was it. I thought, I had my family. But
there's no backup plan.
There was no backup plan. There was nothing. It was just, that's what I thought. And so it was like, what door is going to open? And so I had to look, and I had opportunities to make a lot of money. But there was signs that said that wasn't the right decision. So doing this, it was so pure. It was so pure. I learned from it. And that was just from stepping out the door and doing a story. And then when the people started asking and I started looking, whoa, I got all of this. I got all these people following me. This is my district. These are the same people. This whole stretch. This makes sense. Okay, I'm going to go do it. And I'm going to do it differently than any of these other people because we're going to set a precedent. Because that's the purpose. The purpose, I didn't set out and tell people I want your vote or I'm trying to win. I just let people know, here's what I got. Here's what we're trying to do. If you want change, then go for it. But
originally you said you were telling people, how can I help you? Even before you started running, it was getting into the community and trying to figure out
your story.
Trying to figure out how you could help.
As a journalist. And then I started realizing, you know what? Maybe we can do better than the person in there. And no disrespect to the person that was in there.
I love that you said it was so pure that you learned from it, because you did it with just pure intention, no expectations, and all these opportunities came out of it and kind of sparked your interest, right? You're sharing these stories, hearing the problems, hearing the issues, and then them kind of motivating you hey, you should run and whatnot, and then look at where you are. So it's just pure learning from how pure it was, your pure intentions, no expectations.
I just put my hands up.
It
was like, Jesus, take the wheel.
And he did.
Jesus, take the wheel. I mean, I know you're, come from the country, you were a wrestler, but at any point were you scared or did you have fear about it?
About what part?
About running for office.
No, the running for office, we typically, plan, execute, and it comes to be. If there's a goal, I typically will try to get to that goal. I wanted to be news anchor. I got to that, So I didn't have that, but the scary times were, I'm still living them. I'm not talking about like being attacked or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
other people, it's more like, shoot, can we even make it? You know, and in today's age, you know, a couple of weeks ago the session finished and we passed a bunch of bills, and there was a narrative put out, and there were some solid bills. There's going to be a tax break coming down the line, but.
Thank you very much.
It's not even me. I can't even take credit. That's the other guys. But
Yeah.
but there's this narrative put out that, oh, we did such a historic job. And I'm in there. And I'm not saying nothing about, you know, I'm not going to criticize them. They can have their shine. But it is so frustrating because insurance prices are going to go up. We're going to have communities. We might, I kind of predict the future, but, you know, the bill that we passed and it'll be signed into law will change zoning. They want to increase densities. So Kaneohe, one of my neighborhoods, where you typically have one house on a 10,000 square foot lot, you could have 4. You know,
that just gave me
that could
chicken skin.
change
Yeah,
the
it's
that
gonna
could
change
change
the
the
whole-
landscape. Like I'm not trying to fly into my home as Osaka, Japan. Like you've never been there. Like,
Yeah.
But some of these lawmakers in there, that's what they want. And so when you say, "Are you scared?" I'm scared for the future, for sure. It's it's such a weight. It's such a burden to see when these bills pass, and I'm just sitting there like thinking about what's gonna happen.
Yeah, because it's not like gonna affect you now, but like, you know, your daughter, like our kids, you know, it's like the next generation. Like,
Yeah, so that's the
what's
scary
their
part.
landscape
That's
gonna be like?
that's the part where sometimes I wish I stayed in the news and I didn't see behind the curtain.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
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 Because now you know, like you see everything.
Yeah, and the way it operates, you know, the way something can be true, but that truth can be hidden from the public, and a narrative can be placed over them. You know, for people, if you guys are watching, like, government's a hard one to talk about because I'm not interested. I was never interested in it. You know,
Right.
But it makes a big difference on the ground level in our communities, in our way of life. And the scary part is it's being taken away.
I feel whenever I talk to anybody, like our age or young, even older people, like it seems very intimidating,
Yeah.
like to get involved. And people want change, but people don't know how to help to make
it's almost
change.
like that mentality, like, why? You know, it's just like, what,
And
what
there's
difference
that,
am I
and
gonna
there's
make?
that
You know?
too.
Yeah,
It's
I'll
like,
tell
I
you
wanna
there's
do
one thing.
something,
There's
yeah.
one thing people can do. You don't got to do nothing except for raise your awareness. Like don't stay behind the curtain. And what I mean is like, and this might be a little controversial, but when the fire happened, and stop me if this is too much, but when the fire happened, we had the governors blaming it on climate change.
Yeah.
That's 2 words they're teaching in schools, and
Yeah.
they're making people just believe. And so it's not that the climate's not changing, but we did have global warming. It started getting cold. They had to change the verbiage. But you know, when you got the leader of the state saying that, that's what I mean, the curtain. People are being taught this. Oh, that's what it was. But then we find out, hey, what happened to all the water? Where's all
Yeah.
the water going?
Yeah.
Why is it going to all these luxury homes instead
Yeah.
of down here? And then,
And why aren't you talking about it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why isn't the truth being talked about? Why, when the Supreme Court turned down our Attorney General who was saying that, oh, the Hawaiian guy with the DLNR did the wrong choice and you know, he should have released the water. That wasn't the truth. And when the court said, you guys' story is rubbish, basically, nobody was talking about that and holding them accountable. You know, so now I'm getting
crazy.
triggered. But
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you
yeah.
talk about the
Yeah.
scary stuff.
Well,
Our leaders is
That's
scary.
just like one thing. That's like one. I mean, yes, it was a big event, but that's just one
That's just one.
Yeah.
example of that.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
and so the
It's like-
truth, what's behind the curtain. So back to what people can do. And I'm not saying, you know, because there's a lot of misinformation, especially with social media and stuff like that. There's a lot of false narratives even there. But like, just try to take what you're hearing, even from the media, with a grain of salt, because the media is hearing it from the governor,
Right.
right? And the governor can make up whatever they want to do. Granted, I'm not saying that he does, but in certain cases, in this case, I don't agree with.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't agree with, you know, what he said there. So yeah, there are a lot of things. We got clean energy, right? And hey, granted, yeah, that sounds good. But when you're building wind farms in Kahuku, nobody's benefiting in the community. When you're putting up solar panels all over Makakilo, looks terrible. And we got blackouts in our community. Where are we going?
Yeah, exactly.
Like at some point, the actions and and the words aren't matching.
Yeah.
And so for the people, realize that.
Yeah.
Try and look what's happening around you and see if it's matching with what the people on TV are saying.
Yeah.
So kind of just doing your own due diligence and.
Well, and I think a lot of people believe that. Like, I don't know if everybody would just like see the things that they're being told on the news and believe it. I think a lot of people question it, and I think a lot of people question the government. It's like hard to know who to trust and what to trust in the information. So, I mean, in that sense, like, we will go to the leaders who are speaking the truth, like you. That's why people follow you, because you're speaking the truth. And so, is it where, like, so I wish we had more elected leaders who are out there like you.
That's a
like
whole nother
speaking.
topic. I barely got in. With all I did,
Yeah.
and I barely got in. It's
Yeah.
so difficult for just a regular person to get in. The odds are, it's not on the back end with the votes and counting. It's not on the back end. It's the way the thing is set up that is so difficult to
Is it-
unseat an incumbent or even get into the seat that I'm in. I only won by about 400 votes.
Yeah, yeah. And is it just because not enough people are voting? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think when you say the VOTE, people hear it as like FUC. It really turns people off. And we got a little over 30 something percent of people vote in the last election. That really makes a difference, because if it's just the same people playing the game, and I see it, you know,
Yeah.
it's the people that call, they vote, right? It's the people that, it's the people that are involved in the system and the bills. And so that's only 30% of Hawaii getting
Yeah.
represented in there.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you another thing, a raw thing that I heard was from multiple people was, it's not about everybody. Everybody's voice don't count. It's only the voters' voice that counts.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
exactly.
The way-
Voters is the
system is,
ones
yeah.
that get the mail. Non-voters ain't getting the mail for the most part. And so there was a lot of things that make it an injustice when only 30-something percent, only a third of Hawaii's residents are voting. Only like 10% of Hawaiians are voting. That's crazy.
Yeah, 10%. That is wild. Yeah.
You pull back the curtain on that, you wonder, hey, why can't Hawaiians unite?
Yeah.
Well, it's because a lot of them don't believe in our system.
Yep.
And so I'm not talking about just don't believe that there's any candidates. I'm talking about don't believe in government, the U.S.
Right.
government. And so they're not going to take part no matter what, because
Right.
they look at us like, bro, why are you guys playing their game?
Yeah.
And we're just like, this is the system. We've got to be represented.
But we're
like,
still,
you know?
we're still living within it though,
Yeah.
even if
Yeah.
you don't believe in it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Just
the
we
hard
gotta
part.
like play the game and
So it's
do your part.
If regular people, these mud boggers who don't like their mud pit getting taken away, if all these people don't like their things getting taken, like, you gotta really show up. And I don't want to talk about voting anymore, but
Yeah.
you gotta show up.
I think just like showing up and just like being aware, right? There's so many bills. I mean, I'm sure there's like so many bills that get passed that people don't even know about.
Yeah.
And
Right?
I remember seeing your story of like, like in the session with like a piece of paper with all the bills. And I'm like, that's crazy that like people don't even know like these bills are going through. It's probably going to affect them in some kind of way, but it's like they never even knew about it. And by the time they know about it, it's already passed.
law. Yeah.
It's already law. And
How
it's like,
many-
oh my God, like
Yeah.
what the heck? Like now I can't go to this beach or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
When did that get passed? It's like, oh, this has been in like the
It's been happening for a while. Yeah, in Kahuku, we had
Yeah.
a roundabout. Like 95% of people were against that thing. I was upset because they pitched it, in 1 year as $5.5 million as a cost, and then it went up to like $9 million in a matter of 3 months, and it's
Oh.
like, just one of those again.
Yeah.
I got off topic. What was the original?
No, it's just
No.
like,
Now just not getting frustrated.
like,
Yeah.
like bills just getting passed without
Yeah,
people
all these
knowing,
bills.
right?
We had, they're trying to criminalize people who raise chickens.
I saw
that
that,
one
yeah.
almost went. A lot of these. Anyways, we just need younger people in there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
hey, I don't want to
Yeah.
be an ageist or whatever you call
Yeah,
that thing, but
yeah.
like we just need more common people. But it's very difficult to get in. We'll help. We'll help anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll help any good person with a
Yeah.
foundation.
And I think like, with social media and the misinformation, there's also the good side of it where it's like you're bringing awareness to and like bringing the right information, and then also opening up the platform to, like you said, the younger generation to kind of come in,
I think
understand
so,
the
for
bills.
sure.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like being able to explain a bill to someone and just like for them to understand, and they can feel whatever way, right? They can be negative against, positive against it, but even if they just stand up and share their opinions or their voice, like that's huge already.
Yeah. I
The
mean,
awareness.
yeah, I think for sure you've done that. Like get
Yeah.
that younger generation. I mean, if you're 18, you can vote, and like those guys are all on social media. So just giving them the information like in a digestible way
Yes.
where they can understand, or we can even for us. I'm just like, shoot, that
Because like,
who
do
can
you
read
understand
through
the
all
bills?
these bills?
You're in it. Like, do you understand everything that comes
Oh,
up?
nah.
I'm sure
Well,
it's like
we had
crazy,
one.
right?
We had one. It was 496 pages, 596 pages. It was a long one. I forget how long it was.
One
It's some-
bill was 400 something pages.
Yeah, the bills are.
Yeah, it was
usually
my
long,
first session in, and we missed it a couple rounds.
Yeah.
Our staff missed it, and we finally got alerted to it. And we're like, holy smokes! I had to go like try to find the author. The author didn't know. It wasn't even written in Hawaii. That's why it wasn't even written over here. So yeah, there's thousands of bills that we have to go through. There's a lot of
crazy.
words, a lot of
Yeah,
sentences,
yeah.
a lot of questions.
And it's like everybody writes different too, right? So it's like how you interpret like this line of law.
There's even, and people have already seen this, but you got like, so they wanted, my first session, they wanted to get $5 million to go kill chickens.
Yeah.
And to me, that's, I mean,
To
I don't know
kill
what.
chickens?
Yeah,
Like-
to get rid of chickens, feral
Oh.
chickens,
Oh,
chickens.
okay.
Like
Like on-
Kalihi,
okay.
the senator over there said that that's one of their top priorities is that from the community is they have too much noisy chickens. But like, shoot, we get dealing with coconut rhinoceros beetle, all these, like
Yeah.
chickens eat this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Let them go. Anyway, not to mention if we needed food one day.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but so they put in the $5 million. I'm not for that. The thing gets killed, it gets revived, whatever. The next session, this past session that we just finished, they put more money, but I don't have a chance to say no because not only do they put money to killing the feral chickens, but they put money to killing the little fire ants, killing the CRB. So I got to vote yes to that. But it's
So
like,
they're adding like other.
yeah, there's things in bills. A lot of bills are convoluted where, I'm against vaping.
Yeah.
And the what is it called, the flavored the flavored stuffs for the kids, and 100% supported this bill, passed into law, banned the vaping, but it also banned tobacco shipments, so people couldn't get their cigars, like adults.
Tobacco in general is banned.
Well, the cigars, all I know is the cigars
Oh.
they couldn't, and I don't think that was fixed this past session. So
Oh.
yeah, so people were calling us up like, "Hey, how come?" And I was like, "Damn it!" Like.
Oh, that's crazy. It's not like you hear like one issue, but then the bill is like deeper.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So we
Tricky.
staffed up. We staffed
Tricky,
up
yeah,
with,
yeah,
with
yeah.
you know with people who will go through.
Yeah. There should be like
Yeah,
a
people don't
more
realize, like-
streamlined process. But
Yeah, no,
400
it's-
something pages.
Well,
like,
you
is
know-
that necessary?
In this one, the way it is written, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know how you change that. I thought of that too.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it should be easy, but certain things, yeah, it's the process. There's a lot of there's a lot of information in some of these things that they try to change. So you got to put it in. Anyway, we'll stop talking about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
boring. This is so deep into the
No,
weeds
I-
already.
No,
I think-
it's not
Probably
boring.
everybody stop listening.
No, I think just like trying to get into just like the point that like these things are so complicated, and I'm sure they make it complicated for a reason.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're truly passionate about something or like an issue or something, just like go out there and like do your research and try to figure it out.
Hey, wait. Let me just stop
Yeah,
and
yeah.
pause people because I had to. Some people, when they see the news come,
Yeah.
oh, this reporter must be so smart. Or when they see a government official, oh, this government official must be so smart.
Uh-huh.
We're raised in a place where you respect your kupuna.
Yeah.
I don't respect people who lie. So I don't care what your age is. But I don't want to tell people not to respect, but I tell you what, some of these people in there are no different than any other common people on the street. Not saying they can commonly think like us, but I'm saying the mentality, the awareness. I mean, in the media, it's not I, right? We're not writing I, it's the news. It's not about I. If you're a government official, it shouldn't be I was here at this neighborhood board meeting. I was here while the workers fixed this road. And they'll post that picture, right? Or whatever in their mailer. Or they post all these, pictures with people. Bro, it's not about you. It's about the people. Get out of it. Take a picture of the person who's doing the work. Take a
Right,
picture of
right.
the people. In the news, we show action photos, right? We're
Right.
looking for the stories. These people, they don't understand those kind of things. That's just one example of some of the, and I don't want to degrade people, but for the people on the outside who feel like, hey, government's too much, it's really not. It's really not. Don't let them think it is, because
Yeah.
you can come to my office, I can train you to understand. You don't got to have no background. Like you got rocket scientists in here. We make $71,000. It's not attracting the best and the brightest. Like, my colleagues might be mad, but they don't even know what they're in for next year.
Like that? Just kidding.
No, not Sam.
We need to get a little bit
No,
of a pay
speaking
raise.
of, so Samantha Decor, my manager, and she's running for the West Side.
Oh, nice.
And she should get in. We'll see. She's in a tough race, but she came in thinking that of people like, oh, these people are gods.
Yeah.
They know so much. Like,
And then you start seeing mistakes, and then you start seeing patterns, and then you start seeing these people are no different. Matter
basically
of fact,
everyone's human. Yeah.
humans. We're dealing with humans, and there's
Yeah.
such a big. I like you bring that word up because that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem is humans, because humans. Us. I'm talking about like I'm an alien.
Those
Say
humans.
something? No.
Us. Hey, you start. No, you triggered me with the word because like after the session, I was like, "What is the problem?" That.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like naturally, people will take for themselves.
Yeah.
It's what
Human
can
nature.
human nature, what can the person get out of it?
Yeah.
Fame, fortune, power, whatever it may be. Lucky I went through the news, so I had that stuff. I got it out of my system. But a lot of the people, this is the first time they see it. This is the first time they experience it, and that power gets to people's heads. It's a wild thing.
I can see that.
To see.
Yeah.
And when your votes, when what you're doing, when your newsletters, when your communications, your narratives, when they're coming out of a place where a person's foundation is about themselves and they don't even know it sometimes. They think they're doing for the community, but really it's for themselves. Because if they were doing for the community, they wouldn't have that smiling shaka picture, you know. They would
Yeah.
let the community be
Yeah.
seen. But it's those kind of actions. It's those kind of actions that lead to lawmakers. We had a bill in there. There was a lawmaker saying, looking at raises, right? The city council, by the way, they come in and do that raises. That was terrible. I can't even look at them the
saw
same.
that, yeah.
I can't even look at them the
Yeah.
same. Like when I see some of them out and they can watch this themselves, like total loss of respect because they stole from taxpayers. We had no say, and they put more money in their pockets.
Yeah.
And so there was a bill in the state that was going to try and do that too,
Yeah.
at the state level for us legislatures. And what it said in this bill, I looked at it and I was like, is this real? I cannot even believe this is somebody's thought.
Yeah.
They said that we should get paid more, and the people who said the salary commission should look at the number of bribes that we have to turn down and take that in consideration when making our salary. That's what it said in the bill.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. And it's like, what?
You should be rewarded for doing the right thing.
Exactly. I'm glad you summed it up
look
like
at all
that.
this money we could make.
Yeah.
You're lucky we're saying no to them.
And so that's what I mean.
That's
The
crazy,
mentality is so different. Like growing up in the country, we're underprivileged. That's what it is, you know?
Yeah.
And then you're just around so many people with this privileged mindset or this entitled mindset.
Yeah. I was gonna
That's the
say.
problem. That trickles down to everything else.
I was going to say that same thing. Like being out there in the country, I grew up in the country, and it's like, yeah, we don't have a lot of things and we are underprivileged in a lot of ways, but like the values are strong, you know, and it's like a small town. So if you do something, then it reflects back on you and your whole family,
Yep.
and you can't get away with stuff, or it's going to come back. And
Yeah, look at your genealogy book. That's a lot of people. Shoot.
It's a lot of people in there. Yeah, no, totally. Now that you're in there and you see all these things, like, is it hard to not get jaded?
Explain that. In the news, I was jaded. In the news, nothing would faze me. Over here, still get fazed.
Yeah.
Because the bills aren't stories that disappear. These bills make impacts. I don't know if I'm answering your question with the
Yeah.
jaded thing. I don't know that I can be jaded here. It's always changing.
Yeah.
I'm jaded in people.
Yeah.
I tell you that. Like that's one of the things where I feel like I wish I didn't know, but I'm glad I do know. I have the awareness
Yeah.
now. It's what I was just talking about, people and their intentions. And, you know, when I first got in, and this was told me by a very smart guy in there, but he told me, hey, decisions in here aren't made off like the issues. They're made off of leverage. So that tells you already.
How do you get more leverage?
I mean, there are things you can do. One, I mean, this is in the weed stuffs, but for us, we get more people in. So if I get more like-minded people, so after the court comes in, we got another vote for our side. If we get enough of those, then technically we would have enough to sway the Democrats one side or the other, because there is factions in there. It's not all one team. You've got some on this side, some in the middle, some on this side, all in the same party, but they can sway either way. And so if there's enough of us, one of those sides is going to need us. And so that's one way. But that's just, again, that's in the weed stuff. We just need more regular people in there.
Yeah.
What kind of things are you involved in right now? I mean, talk about your tree planting.
So the
That's kinda
Kahuku
huge,
food
yeah.
tree plant, that one's going. And so bless the rains and everything that we've been getting. That one we planned, we prepared for, we did it. It was a lot of hard work, but it's going well.
And it's just the beginning. You're still like maintaining it. Right? I saw that you like.
Yeah, we had Earth Day. We're
Yeah.
trying to maintain it. The grass is getting out of hand, but
Especially after all this rain. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, that's a blessing. And then Haleiwa, we're trying to do it in Haleiwa. That one actually was interesting because for anybody out there who's wondering, hey, why are these holes dug but no trees are in the ground yet? We're trying to put some mango and whatever the community wanted out there, but because that's the same like in Kahului, it's a DOT easement or right away over there. But when we looked at the property map, it doesn't reflect Kamehameha Schools maps, which is the neighboring. And so we're working with Kamehameha Schools. There was a hold up there. And they're supportive. They're supportive, but they just want to figure out. They want to make sure we're putting trees that are not going to make them liable. So we're working on that. And there's a bunch of other things. I don't want to bore people. We'll tell them when we do
That's
it.
exciting though.
That's so awesome.
A lot
That's
of
such a great
cool
idea.
like initiatives and projects that like involve the community.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
What happens when the session ends? Like, so what's now you get to go on vacation?
You could. Hey, if I was lazy and I didn't play sports and have that mindset, I could take off all the way till like December.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in there, they're lawyers, they have other jobs, and they go do that.
I see.
And it's needed for sure. When you're making 71, it's not nothing. Up until this point, I've been doing just this though. So I'll probably have to get a side job to continue to do this, because another 4 years at 71 is like, that's a hole.
Yeah. Like for the time that you're in session, like you can't do anything else during that time though.
No.
Like, so it'd have to be.
The problem is that like my passion, I can't do anchoring. I can't do what I'm skilled at. That I feel now. When I left, it was all right. It's like whatever. It's just I'm doing what is right. Set me on this path, and then now I'm like, man, I wish I could just do my skill on the side.
Yeah.
You plan on like
Start a
telling more
podcast.
stories? Yeah. Start a podcast. Some kind of show yourself. Yeah.
You need more. What is it? I don't even know the word. See?
What, sponsors?
No, that I'm not a business person. I was going to say you need more enthusiasm than me. I think I'm jaded in that fact. I've been around government so long, I'm turning boring.
I know you keep saying it's boring, but it's like no, it's so interesting.
It's
like,
so interesting.
I think
tell
because
us
you're
all
around
the
it all
tea.
around it so much, but it's like for other people, it's like we can actually approach this topic and talk about it, because like Kolby was saying, like it's something that's very intimidating. People don't talk about it as much, but now you're in it, so it's like everything's boring to you.
No, seriously, I could
but it's
ask you so many questions. It's like
people have that desire to learn about it, it's just they don't know how.
Yeah.
Or they don't know who to talk to and whatnot. Yeah. So
what can we get?
what can
I'm
we
gonna find you a job till December.
hey, now we gotta keep it. We gotta keep it strict. No gifts. No, I cannot be benefiting off my role.
No benefits. But
I
it's
know,
like, how can
right?
you-
It's
I just
like-
talking to you.
No,
guys.
but it's like we love to tell stories, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, how can you tell other people's stories and whatnot too? So, was there a story that you told, like during that time after the news that like really?
Lisieli, this Laie resident and her family right across PCC. They no longer live there, by the way. There was they're renting a house, and so I did a story on them right in the pandemic where the home prices went up from 750 to like 1.1 million or something like that. I forget how much. It went up like $400,000. Well, there was such a pressure on housing at that time. I did a story with this lady, and she basically her and her kids was gonna lose their place because the lady in the back was vacation renting and was trying to turn it into like a whole block of vacation rentals. So that lady had offered their landlord to pay more rent to leave it vacant, and that would have meant that family would leave.
Okay, wow. Yeah.
Well, and anyway, so we just followed up with that, and that was like 2.5 years ago. We just followed up with that. The city did cite them after the story, and but it's still operating, and it become a bigger operation. Luciela and her family are no longer working or living there, and they're turning that one into vacation rentals too. This is all illegal, by the way. It's that's illegal right there. Well, that story made such an impact that today we're going to go back and work to try to shut that place down, for lack of better words, because the city has a very hard time. They give these violations, and the homeowners will just appeal it and typically win.
Oh wow!
Yeah, even though it's illegal. Yep. Even though it's illegal, so we figure out a way we can stop that. But that lady actually died within the past 2.5 years. But the Suns is taking over. We heard the Suns is taking over to continue. So we're trying.
Oh, like the vacation rentals.
Yeah, in that area. For that, all the same story. Yeah.
Oh wow.
But yeah, that was kind of like that was a sad one, because that story happens in so many different places. You know, we just had.
For sure.
How did you find that story? Just kind of.
Oh, I was campaigning door to door, knocking door to door. I knocked on that one, and she saw me on a Ring camera.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, this is
like,
happening to
I have a
us.
story for
I was
you.
like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, you want to do this? You want me to tell your story? She's like, yeah, I would love to.
Nice.
So that's how it happened.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm so confused. Like, why wouldn't the city like penalize that?
They do. They'll issue the notice of violation, but then it goes to court, and that's where they'll lose. It's hard. It's hard because the city, according to what they were telling me, was, let's say you only can rent every 30 days.
30
right?
days at a time. Yeah.
So I mean, let's say you got 3 separate week one. Let's say you got 4, 1 a week.
Yeah.
You would need those people to show up in court. What visitor is gonna want to do that? So the city will typically lose.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a broken system. Another broken thing.
There are a lot of broken, and it comes back to human, right?
Yeah.
If there wasn't greed,
Yeah.
we got. I don't even know if I should say. I'll give it to you guys. There's it hasn't come out yet, I don't think, but Turtle Bay we just met with a week and a half ago. Turtle Bay ended up selling some of its land to developers, and these developers, I come into this meeting with them, and they're real nice, like they typically are, but to explain our culture, the way people here look at $1 million homes, they're trying to build like $155 million and up luxury condos out there in Kahuku on Turtle Bay's property, but the mentality is so different. Their reasoning for building this is a legacy for their family, their grandkids. What about the legacy? Yeah, what about the legacies of the people who live here?
Yeah.
So that's what I was trying to explain to them. But
And right now it's undeveloped.
yeah, the land that they want to develop is undeveloped, but they can develop. So that'll be coming probably down the pipeline. You'll probably be hearing about that story out there. But it's just different culture, and that's why some people call me racist, but we introduced a bill to stop foreign buying of our properties.
Right.
We would do it to all, but we cannot. It's unconstitutional. But we can probably do it to foreign in the coming years.
Right.
But yeah, there's no stopping greed. There's no stopping greed. We can try to limit it, but it's really a mentality. And as long as people don't have hours over here or take too long to finally gain it, the respect for our people in place, we're going to continue to fight this battle.
Yeah. I feel like most of this conversation was like grim.
Oh man, I told you.
Man,
No,
what do we
bring
do?
it up.
But it's more so like there's an upside to this.
There is an upside because you're talking about it and you're honest about it and you're willing to talk about it, whereas most lawmakers, I feel like, might not be willing to talk about it.
It's like a gray area.
Maybe
I'm not concerned with getting back in. If I get back in, I'm making $71,000. Why would I want that? It's a win-win for me. If I'm back in, I can help the community. If I'm not, I can make more money.
Yeah.
So my votes, and what I talk about. I mean, really, I can be an open book. You can ask me whatever you like.
Yeah, and it's. I think what it is too is like you're opening up your platform and like your to other people's voices and whatnot too, right? Just I think that's what's cool and like.
I mean, I think transparency goes a long way, especially in today's world. I think most people are wanting authenticity and transparency, and it's like so attractive when you see it. it's like, okay, I can trust this guy. I can follow him. I can like listen to him. Listen to, even if I don't, if I'm on the other side, like I can understand him. Like I relate to him.
Hey, if you're one of those people, that's cool, because if you're
Yeah.
on the other side and you can see just different perspective, like that's helpful. If we can kind of come a little bit,
That would be nice.
closer, bridge some gaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of going back to like you can't please everyone, but it's
Yeah.
like how do you work with each other, right? And like figure things out.
Yeah. What has been the best takeaway of this whole experience of going from news to being a senator?
I've matured, and I have a better understanding of life. When you're in one career for so long, you're doing one thing, you're on the same type of people.
Yeah.
In this one, you see a lot of people. When I had to go door to door, I saw a lot of people, a lot of different cultures. But having that awareness probably the biggest thing. I'm over here thinking about it in my head right now, if I like it or not.
I mean, that's a tough job. I can't even imagine going out there and putting yourself out there too, and your family. And it's like, you're so you're in the public eye on the news, but then in this way where you have like the power to like do something in the government, I feel like people are a little bit more critical of.
Of course, I go out and like paddle, stand up paddle, look for taco. If I shoot a taco, I look in, who's going to complain that I'm killing some octopus? Which we
Yeah.
eat, by the way. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
It's part of our culture.
They're very smart creatures. I understand all that. But yeah, we've been eating it, so it's our culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, I think about it. I think about it. That's about it. Because
Yeah.
if I'm going to I kind of change who I am, then you start
Right.
being, then you're not you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the best part. That's the best part. Matter of fact, you got it right on this show. I just thought of it. Is the ability to just be me. Robert Kaʻaʻawa, he was somebody who mentored me at my last station.
Yeah.
And he would tell me all the time, people can tell if you're not being authentic.
Yeah.
Just be you. Don't try to have the anchor voice. Don't try to be anything you're not. Just be you.
Yeah.
And so that's stuck. That's stuck. And so now being able to just be me, live. I mean, yeah, it's a sacrifice. I hope it gets better on the personal side of like financially. Everything else is good. But the ability to be free is probably the best thing of this. I'm tied to my community, but I'm free to roam.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like if you're on the football field. I don't know if you guys watch football. Like a safety who can roam around the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good position.
And at the end of the day, you're just being authentic to yourself and fighting for what you believe in.
It's a good way to live. I don't have the stuff in my stomach anymore.
Yeah.
It feels junk.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. Your story is very inspirational. People talk about it because you did the hard thing. I know like walking away from news is something that you had to do because it just didn't line up with your values. But then to like put yourself out there, run for office, like, and still continue to talk about things like.
What's your
can't
advice for
be
someone
easy.
that was in your position, that is in your position that you were in like 3 years ago?
Oh, like for a job, do what is right. I mean, do what is right. I understand. There's leverage. We go back to every decision's made off of leverage. When you gotta pay for food for your family and rent for your place, what are you gonna do? That's tough. For me. I just got a little bit of stubborn country in me,
Yeah. Just do what is right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna tell everybody to do the same thing. I wish more people would and were at a place in their life where they could.
Yeah.
Because if there were more people doing that, more people inspired to do that, it started becoming the norm rather than looked on like a rarity. In sports growing up, everybody did it. I mean, unless you wanted to lose, but everybody closed their eyes, put in the hard work.
Yeah.
You lose, you keep pushing. That's
The mentality.
the fundamentals. And so I see what I did. People were like, wow, it doesn't happen. But like, it's so common growing up. It's only when you get into the world and all these other leverages, appear, then it gets convoluted. But
Yeah. Do you ever look at it like something bigger, like a calling, or like something that you were meant to do?
For right now, yeah. That's why. And again, I'd be as humble as possible with this. You ask, so I'm answering. When I said I could have had opportunities to make money That was a job that would have paid a lot. I left way early to get to the interview. I arrived 3 minutes late. I knew right when I walked in, I told them, I was like, look, guys, sorry, this job not for me. They really understood, respected that, and wanted to support my campaign. But
Wow.
But when we were doing work in my yard, we had a coconut tree that was dropping coconuts. I didn't want the kids to get hit. We lived right on the water in Honolulu, and so we chopped the coconut tree down. I like trees, by the way. We made 4 keiki before we killed that one.
Yep.
We chopped it down. The thing fell in the water. Like a minute later, and I got a picture if you guys don't believe after. It was like this big, floated up. I took that as a sign. Like, we just put in the work, and we'll be fed. We'll be given what we need. So that was the
that's
mentality.
awesome.
It was just, sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Just like in wrestling, just like anything else, just like you're preparing for a fight, whatever you're preparing for. And so I'm in that time of sacrifice right now.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, justice is gonna come. I believe it.
Yeah.
Whether it's sooner or later, I cannot tell, but it's
that's
gonna.
awesome.
We're gonna get there eventually.
Yeah.
What are some things you're excited for? What's next?
For the upcoming session.
What are you working on?
Sure, I'm excited to see the new faces that get in. Hopefully, some of the people who blocked our bill don't get back in to block it this time. No, I mean, excitement. I don't know yet. I'm in it. I'm in it. So it's hard. It's hard. I wish I could go to Vegas and just throw money on the slot machines. That'd be exciting.
Just relax.
That'd be exciting.
Like everybody
but
else
I'm not,
in Hawaii.
I'm not at that point. I'm not at that point in time. I was at that place in my life before. I'm not at that place right now. Maybe I'll be there later where I can, have vacations and stuff like that. But
Yeah. We asked this to most of our guests about like life balance and like how you're able to maintain, because you're a dad, you have a lot going on. So is there anything that you do in your everyday, or, something that kind of keeps you on the right track?
pray every day, multiple times. That's so stereotypical, but I mean, I feel like if I didn't have faith, how would I do the walk? Yeah, my family. It really is balance. It really is balance. You got family, I got kids growing up. I got to teach them. I got to make sure the things that I learn, I can fast track them. Give them all the skills as they grow up. That's critical. My daughter's 6 years old. She's like a sponge. She's like a little adult.
Yeah.
She could probably do a podcast. But
We should get our kids together.
Yeah,
Well, maybe not Emery.
yeah.
Emery's not one yet, but that would be cute.
Just talking stories, sharing
Yeah.
other
that'd be a funny one.
perspective.
That'd be a funny one.
Yeah.
But balance is definitely tough. Between January and May, I'm stuck at the Capitol. So there's no balance there. It's really like, if I take the 365 days a year, you got that portion which is just like I'm stuck. You got summer, which I can really pour into my kids.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna come up on the next session. And during the time I got to take my personal time. I got to work out and do that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, people are having it harder than me for sure. I'm not out there building rock walls, lifting rocks, in the hot sun.
Yeah.
So only my brain is getting mentally stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good perspective. Just
Finding
everything
that
has
balance.
its season. Yeah.
Hey, you're good. You're like Keahi. You can sum up.
She's
You
like,
can sum up all the garbage. You can
Kelly
sum
Sucker,
up-
you heard that?
I see a paragraph. You sum it up in a couple words. It's good. Copy editor.
Was there anything else that you wanted to share? I mean, as far as like prepping for the next session, or
just bringing
just
awareness, anything.
anything else you
I mean,
want?
next session this session, the first two, I had 2 tries at it.
Yeah.
We've gotten closer and closer each time of pushing our number one priority of stopping.
Foreign investors.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just one thing, right? It's just one element in a lot of housing problems. But that one element, if I don't put everything I have to it, nobody else is gonna. It's not gonna go. And so we have 5 more bills that were coming out all around the same thing. They're tailored more towards the reasons why this bill stopped. These bills won't give those reasons. So if this bill stops
Nice.
again, it's only going to be a human problem.
I see. Well, you got people talking about it for sure. In the circles that I'm in, people are like, wait, why? Foreign investors, they're not even from the US. Like, why is it unconstitutional? So you got people talking.
It's our leader, our attorney general. I'll throw her under the bus every single time. No, honestly.
The AG.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Give us a local one. And the
Yeah.
governor will straight up say I'm racist for that. But like, when you don't understand the culture, it's different. I would take somebody with that internal fight who maybe is not as good of a lawyer, but has the
Totally.
willpower to learn and will push, with that mentality of
Yep.
we want to shoot and we want to score versus we're scared of shooting.
Totally.
That's true. Yeah. You might miss, but you at least shoot, right?
Yeah.
At least
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
the
yeah.
right mindset, because that can't be taught to people who aren't, don't understand it.
No, it's a fear. It's a mindset living in fear.
I think, yeah. I mean,
That was good.
yeah. No, that was a lot of information.
I know.
And I think,
we don't want to keep you forever, because we could probably just keep asking you questions about like all the things, but you're a busy guy. So, and you get to enjoy the end of the session.
I know. It's just like,
And
thanks for coming on.
I
think
know.
it
Thanks
worked
for
out
having me here. That was
perfectly,
great. That was a great conversation.
Yeah.
How can people find you? How can they reach out to you? And
If it's a problem they have, our office is the best because I have great staff in there. Josh Totofi's sister is in there.
Oh, nice.
She's just a workhorse, man. If there was a politician, if there was a person to put in a leadership position, it'd be her. Her name is Petty Elizabeth Tavake, and I hope she's with me for my entire career if I stay doing
nice.
this.
Yeah.
But call her.
Yeah.
Liz, ask for Liz.
Liz, shout
call the
out.
office, Google the office, ask for Liz. She can take care of so many problems. It's amazing. She's better than me, but she never want to be in my position though. That's the problem.
That's the kind of people you need on your side, though. Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize that too. It's your team too, right?
Oh, you're only You need a team.
Yep.
One person is weak.
Yep.
And one person can only be so strong. I mean, but like,
Yeah.
I feel that.
Blessed
I
to
feel
have
that.
blessed to continue to have just amazing staffers.
That's awesome. So email the office. Don't DM him on Instagram.
Yeah, the
I
only
saw you
reason
posted
I
something.
didn't say that like don't DM is because like there's not a lot of DMs come in. I might not get it, but
Yeah.
the staff they'll definitely get it.
Yeah.
You can try to DM though, but my staff will
Yeah.
definitely get to you.
Yeah.
Ask for Liz. Ask for Liz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again for taking time to come talk story with us. Of
course.
We are just, I think on behalf of so many people, we're just like very grateful that you're putting in this sacrifice. I know it's a sacrifice right now, but you're inspiring so many people.
Thanks.
So thank you for all you do
Thank
and your
you.
staff.
Yep.
Liz.
And thank you for coming on and sharing your story. And,
Automatic. No, this is a good time. I knew it would be a good conversation.
It wasn't boring. It's a lot.
You gotta ask the viewers.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Nah. I think it's like back to that real quick. There's like
Yeah.
a lot of information out there. It seems intimidating, but just do your thing, do your research, and I think it's you can like kind of break things down and understand it.
Yeah.
Believe.
Yeah,
Just
but
believe in
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And everybody's human. I think that was like the big thing. Everybody's
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For good or for bad.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Senator. The Honorable.
The honorable. We'll put that on the title.
And thank you guys for watching. Please share it with somebody. Please subscribe and do all those things. See you in the
Comment,
next
like,
one.
Aloha.
Aloha.